Ladies and gentlemen, tonight was the night. It was a game for the ages. Just want to give a special shout out to Mike Tirico, NFL Sunday night football crew. The only one to pick the Ravens, only one out of the entire crew. Tony Dungy was leaning towards it, but then he was like, I can't go against Patrick Mahomes. So shout out to Mike Tirico for going out on a limb. By the way, if you were listening to this video or watching this video, make sure you guys go ahead and troll the entire Sunday night football crew for picking the Chiefs over my Ravens. Alright, hello everybody. Once again, welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are settling in for the night. The game is now concluded. The Baltimore Ravens were victorious over the Kansas City Chiefs up at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm super happy for the game, how it ended, of course. But there's some things that I want to give my props to the Kansas City Chiefs. I know they don't need a lot of props. They're a pretty good team, but I'll give you my three takeaways for the offense and defense and any other players that did a decent job. Also give some takeaways for the Ravens as well. All right, so first up, I'm gonna go with the visiting team, the Chiefs. A lot of people, just riding the wave with the Chiefs, and rightfully so. They've been to the Super Bowl the last 2 years, or contended for one. They won one. They have everything going for them when it comes down to the offensive coordinator, head coach, coaching staff in general. Patrick Mahomes, the arsenal of receivers that he has when it comes down to the weapons. And by the way, their defense isn't too shabby either with picking up the Honey Badger. I'll be honest with you, I was leaning heavy towards trying to get a player like Honey Badger. Instead, we got Earl Thomas, and we all know how that situation ended up. But hey, at the end of the day, Baltimore make their decisions, and it is what it is. So, first thing first, on the offensive side for the Chiefs, Baltimore had to limit Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce their touches. Not so much of completely shutting them down, because I've never seen a team just straight shut them down. Even in the Super Bowl going against Tampa Bay, they weren't totally shut down. They still had a chance to get some stuff off. And just the fact that they pressured Mahomes to where Mahomes couldn't set at his feet to throw the ball down the field. And he was basically just trying to make something happen. He was scrambling a lot and wasn't able to basically launch from basically having a stable platform as a quarterback to throw. He couldn't deliver it when he needed to deliver it. The same thing with, they had no run game. So it was pretty much, hey, Patrick Mahomes trying to avoid the rush and then look downfield. By the time he takes his eyes away, running away from the pass rush, the guys are being covered back up. So tonight, the Ravens did their job. Those guys, out of all the targets they had, they only reeled in 10 catches for 123 yards. That's pretty good. I'll take that any day of the week, especially knowing how key these guys are when it comes down to the Chiefs' offense. The other thing is, they took their run yardage out of the equation. I think they tallied total 46 yards, and I think there was 3.4 yards per carry. That's pretty good for the Ravens when it comes down to getting back to the old Ravens defense that we know, when it comes down to stuffing the run and taking your running back out of the equation when it comes down to you trying to get a win. The other thing I like that they do or that what the Ravens did is they limited the big plays. Now they didn't totally shut them down. Travis Kelce scrambled for a touchdown. To me, it was still kind of busted, but they got it. Same thing with the Pringle touchdown. It was kind of broken, but at the same time they got it. But when it comes down to the not Travis Kelce, but the Tyreek Hill throwing the screen pass, and then he running 75 yards, that stuff wasn't happening tonight, which is great. And that's a good recipe to slow down this Kansas City offense. All right, moving over to the defensive side. It started out ugly for us. Lamar Jackson right off rip, pick six to Tyrone Matthews. Yeah, and Sammy Watkins slipped and fell, but still at the same time, it's we can't have those type of plays because those type of plays will take you out of a game, as you guys see. The Ravens never caught back up and got the lead until late in the game. Unless everything goes right for the rest of that particular game, we have those type of letdowns early. It's just so hard. It's a gut punch in the gut to try and come back from that. So, hats off to the Ravens for staying in this game and not being lowered to sleep when it comes down to, Kansas City, they got up and they just kept fighting back. So shout out to the entire Ravens staff. And the other thing is they only got one sack on Lamar. The one sack on the defensive side for Kansas City. As much as they pressured him and moved him around in the pocket, they only got one sack. One sack for 9 yards. I'll take that any day of the week. I mean, particularly Lamar Jackson doesn't get sacked a lot anyway, but for as much as they did when it comes down to Frank Clark trying to pester him, as well as Chris Jones trying to pester him as well, and some other guys pitching in, he got hit a few times, but he didn't get sacked. He just got sacked just that once. And then the other thing is Tyrone Matthews was basically trying to bait Lamar all evening. Sometimes Lamar fell for it, which gave him the early 2 picks. He almost had a third one on that breakup with I think it was Sammy Watkins in the end zone when Lamar was trying to get the go-ahead touchdown. So, Tyron Matthews is a veteran, and I've been watching him since the LSU days. When he used to terrorize Alabama. Yeah, they didn't have a whole lot of success as a team all the time against him, but the guy still made his mark on the game, and he's doing it at the next level. And he makes you really, really think about what you're doing. And if you're not actually dissecting the play pre-snap and post-snap, I guarantee you he's going to pick you off. He actually reminds me of some of the old savvy safeties. And one that comes to mind is I hate to say it, but he had every type of tendencies when it comes down to being all over the field, returning special teams, and so forth. So if he continues going on the way he's going and probably get another Super Bowl, he can start to creep into that, top safety of all time type of talk. Now I know he has an uphill battle because I don't know how many interceptions he has or how many tackles or whatnot, but he does make his mark on the game. So a special shout out to him as well for basically making Lamar bring it tonight, because if Lamar hadn't brought it, if he was going to stay in that slump, no touchdowns and 2 interceptions, I think he had like 60 yards at the time. If he would have stayed in that slump, it would have got really, really ugly for the Ravens. So moving over to the Ravens side, some positives that I want to take away. We had 2 players with over 75 yards running, Lamar Jackson and Tyson Williams. A lot of people were second-guessing Tyson Williams, especially with the veterans that we signed. Why should he stay in that role? Because he hadn't really had any kind of carries. And I still said, even coming into the season before the injuries or whatnot, that this guy was going to be in the mix to get some carries, partly because of what he did in the preseason. Him and McCreary, even though McCreary's gone, Baltimore wanted to keep both of them. And Denver was smart to basically look out there and try and pick this guy up, because if Melvin Gordon is injured, he's a good complement to the other young running back that they picked from North Carolina. I think his last name is Williams, I think. So anyway, going forward, the Ravens say, with those injuries, we have somebody that we don't really have to get caught up to speed. He already knows the offense. Now, he is not a J.K. Dobbins. He is not a Gus Edwards. We know that. But is he somebody that can keep the wheels afloat or keep the boat afloat until everybody comes back? Do I believe he can do that? Absolutely. He's shown it just with a little bit of time he's had right now in these two games. As long as we stay committed to the run game, Tyson Williams is going to get a chance to get his carries and make his impact on the game, as well as the new guys. I was happy tonight to see Latavius Murray being featured as well. Even Devontae Freeman coming in, and he rattled off his 31-yard game. He came in, he got his burst. And oh yeah, by the way, some people are saying, these guys are washed. But you got to understand is we're not bringing these guys in. Just like I said in one of my other videos, we're not bringing these guys to come in and get 300 carries. If the math, what I broke down in that video is correct, these guys are probably going to average about 150, maybe 200 carries. And then to echo that even more, Greg Roman came out and said the days of running one running back are kind of numbered. And the reason being is because they're beat up by the time they get to the playoffs. So I think he's going to want to conserve people until we get in the playoffs and start moving around and start winning some games and so forth and so on. And what that'll do is that'll keep the defenses honest, because now you got to prepare for all three of our backs instead of just one or two when it comes down to the depth chart. All right. For the passing game, we had 3 wide receivers with 5 or more targets, and 3 or more all had 15-plus yards receptions. That may not seem like a lot to some people, but to us, it seems like a lot, because the Ravens is not going to be a 400-yard passing offense. The Ravens were kind of dink and dunk, not a big shot down the field. And what we mean by big shot, we're talking about 20, 30 yards of pass plays. If we get those per game, basically average about 5 of those a game, life's good for us as a running offense, mixing it up with the pass. Because those 5 plays are 20 yards or more. That's 100 yards passing for Lamar. Keep in mind, Lamar's pretty efficient when he do pass. He's not going to throw the ball 50 times. He's going to probably throw it 20, maybe 30. And 30 is really pushing it as well. So about 20 to 25 times is on the average of probably what you'll see. And he'll probably flush around the 200, maybe 200 to 300 yards of passing. And then you can couple that with about 50 to anywhere to 100 yards of running. That's a really good game for Lamar, because by doing that, you basically get 2 touchdowns passing, probably average 1 on the ground running. So if we keep doing that, life would be good for us. That's a good ratio for us to go forward and really contend in the AFC. And the other thing is, with all the different moving pieces and injuries and so forth, the Ravens line really, really held up tonight by just allowing 1 sack on Lamar. That's huge. That's huge. That's a huge shot in the arm, confidence boost to all our guys, even the veterans. I know that we were killing Alejandro Villanueva for his lackluster performance. We was killing those guys, how they performed in the Las Vegas Raiders game. And oh yeah, by the way, we got some guys back. Ben Cleveland was in the rotation. Tristan Colon Castillo was in there. We got a lot of people in the rotation when it comes down to our offensive line, and those guys didn't do half bad. Especially because just 1 sack on Lamar, I just knew it was gonna be a little bit more trouble having a player like Frank Clark and Chris Jones on the defensive line. It doesn't matter who the defensive tackles are. If you got both of those guys who get 10-plus sacks every year almost, that's hard to deal with, especially with some new guys in the rotation. Some are rookies, and we just tried to deal with that the best way we could. And I just think they did the best they possibly could. And this was probably the best turnout when it comes down to having those type of young players in the mix in a prime time type of game. It was just huge. It was just a huge win all around. Now, if I had to give the two unsung heroes, one for offense and one for defense, the two heroes I would say, outside of the obvious, I know you guys are going to say Lamar, but me, he's the obvious one. But another one would be Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown flashed, wide receiver one type of tendencies, and that's with Sammy Watkins on the field. Sammy Watkins doesn't have the continuity like he should with Lamar thus far, and that's fine. That's okay. As they play together more and more, he'll kind of understand, hey, okay, this is how this guy likes to be led, or this is how the guy likes to catch his back shoulder throws, or whatever it may be. And you just seen it, sometimes they were just off. They were just off when it comes down to, him passing and then Watkins receiving. So Hollywood Brown, you can see that they have a better relationship when it comes down to quarterback to receiver. So look for Watkins to develop that over the season. As long as he stays healthy and stays in there and runs hard and does what he needs to do, I look for those particular receptions to increase as well. Mark Andrews came out late in the game, and he really, really helped out the offense, keep the offense from stalling out. And then the person on the defense that I really want to highlight is Odafe Oweh. People were killing the Ravens for taking him as high as they did because, he didn't have any sacks, or he had one sack, or whatever it may be. And people didn't understand is the sacks or the shiny object. You don't understand the disruptor role that he plays. For instance, Jadeveon Clowney is exactly that. He doesn't always pile up the stat sheet with the sacks, but he redirects running backs to go to where the defense strength is. So if he's able to basically redirect the running back, that counts as a tackle for a loss for the defense, but it doesn't show up on the stat sheet for that player that rerouted that person back into the teeth of the defense. The other thing is he came up huge with the strip fumble on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That type of get off and have the awareness to say, hey, okay, here's my chance to punch the ball out while I'm not squared up on the running back. That's huge. You can't really teach that when it comes down to, or you can teach it, but just having the ability and the awareness to say, hey, look, now's my time to go ahead and make a play for my defense, and to execute it the way it was executed. And he scooped up the fumble. So a big shout out to Odafe Oweh, and a big shout out to Hollywood Brown. And thank you guys for watching. And if you got any questions or anything, feel free to leave them comment below. Thank you guys again, and you guys have a great night. Peace.